Warm welcome, this is Markus Termin, Astrologisches Stundenbuch at the 17th of April 2024. Now that's the chart of the day. As you can see, the Sun is still in the sign of Aries, Moon is moving towards the trine in between Sun and Moon, which is an harmonical aspect, first of all. And then the overall situation, of course, stays with Mercury retrograde until the 25th of April. And the overall situation is optimistic because of the Moon in the sign of Leo. Now Jupiter is approaching Uranus day by day, and at the 21st, you might have heard it or you might know it, they will meet for a conjunction. I want to drop a few words about what is really a conjunction. A conjunction is the mother of all aspects. Two planets gather in one place. It's also about the declination, if they have the very same height. Old astrologers were more firm on that subject. The conjunction is stronger. And then there's another conjunction which is called Cassimi, when it passes by the Sun and it goes through the heart of the Sun, and all planets can do that. But we have the conjunction in the sign of Taurus. And when we look over to what was the case in world dynamics when we had the last conjunction, which was at the 8th of June 2010, and it was at the very start of the sign of Aries, Now go back into times and think about what happened at that time. And what really happened was we had this financial crisis, and which appeared to be 2008, and by 2010 we could imagine that all those stakeholder guys had the new deliberating revolutionary idea, for instance, of putting out a digital currency they call Bitcoin or Ethereum or something like that, to shape the world again in a way that they wanted. So there's a unique start at the first degree of Aries with Jupiter and Uranus. Now, as we astrologers do some research, usually we of course ask ourselves, because that's how we get to the ideas how the time is structured, the time qualities is structured. We have a look at the chart of not 2000 but 1928, and you remember there was a big crisis coming in, a financial crisis at 1929, so very close to that. And if you have a look at that chart, that is not today, you see a similar pattern to that of 2010, because Jupiter and Uranus were meeting at the first degree of Aries. So it was the all-over start of a new financial system. Wasn't the gold standard established at that time? Things like that. Now, the next conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus followed in 1941, and it was similar to ours. We had a conjunction in the sign of Taurus. Then there was a big stellium of Taurus. The financial crackdown situation was established worldwide. The world was in a big war and things like that. Now, if you compare those two sequences of time in between 1928 and 1941, this is comparable to the situation we're actually in now. And going back to the chart of the conjunction, which will be occurring in a few days, at the 21st, we'll see this is where it started, and this is where it gets 2 days from tomorrow. The situation means that if you pick this space of time, we're not, and this is the hopeful message, the message full of hope, we are not at the start of World War III, but we're kind of at the end of it, and that means that the world has been shaped in a certain way throughout the financial activities, and they have been using wars and things like that already, but we're not at the brink of a start of a new everlasting big war, but we're at the end of the establishment of something that turned out later on when they finished the war, which was, as you know, the world was split in two halves, one communistic half and one half of the free world, the so-called free world. That was the outcome. So this is my message for today, that we might not be that bad off in our situation right now, because there might be some years to come for restructuring things, but as far as it goes with the Jupiter-Uranus cycle, and that's actually the deeper sense of astrology, to watch the cycles when it comes from the union of two planets to the next union, and what is in between this period of time. How does time structure itself? How does it influence human beings? So we're coming from a financial catastrophe. The world is restructuring, and we find the exit later on with the next conjunction with Jupiter and Uranus meeting in the sign of Taurus. So establishing something for real that is the outcome of the conjunction that we witnessed in 2010. This is just some brief thoughts on the matter. There's deeper research and thinking on that necessary. Anyhow, coming back to the daily chart, just to give you a last idea of the situation that we are in right now. On a daily level, as I said, we are in the trine in between two fire forces. There's a big stellium in the sign of Aries. Mercury is retrograde. Venus is trying to grab some room by defending her place initiative, and the Mars-Saturn conjunction is slowly but surely departing. That's the situation. A last look on this chart for the upcoming conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus in the sign of Taurus is, notice the pattern. Isn't that interesting? Because that's about astrological miracles. You have Mars in the sign of Pisces when we will witness the next conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus. With the last conjunction we had, that was not an exact opposition, but we had Mars in the sign of Virgo. We have Saturn in the sign of Pisces. We had 2010 Saturn in the sign of Virgo. So that means this is a turnaround. That's a turnaround of what was in the intention of the first meeting of Jupiter and Uranus 2010 turns out to be dissolved 14 years later, which is not a bad thing at all, because it's about dissolving structures and of course later on rebuilding, but dissolving structures that are actually not really needed. Okay, this is far from being perfect right now. It's just a little brainstorming on the topic. maybe we get deeper into that. Hope you have a nice day and get some inspiration by that. My name is Markus Termin. If you want to look in your personal chart and find out how all this works out, just use this mail address, mind this DE down there because I'm German, and here in my German blog site, which is actually the oldest existing blog in German language, you'll find the condition for a consultation. Thank you very much. No guitar today, but just some harmonica.